Severide and Casey jumping off a roof to escape an explosion is peak Chicago fire. Chicago fire has never been short of intense action or gripping drama, and the NBC series delivered one of its most heart-pumping moments when Matt Casey, Jess Spencer, and Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney, were forced to make the ultimate leap of faith to escape a fiery explosion. You read that correctly. The fearless firefighters once had to escape from the top of a warehouse by jumping from the roof, with no one waiting to help below. The spur-of-the-moment survival plan went down during the Season 6 premiere, Law of the Jungle, where Firehouse 51 addressed a particularly nasty gas fire. Casey and Severide tag-teamed countless infernos during their shared tenure at the Windy City Firehouse, but few sent them flying like this escapade. Severide and Casey were forced to think outside the box after Firehouse 51 responded to a call involving a warehouse fire. After discovering that a massive gas leak compromised the building, the team worked to evacuate and contain the situation. After containing the gas leak by holding down a loose valve, Severide found himself trapped on the roof with no viable escape route. As the blaze intensified, Casey rushed to his friend's side to lend a hand. Once on the roof, Casey and Severide quickly realized how deadly the situation had become as they held down the valve and strategized an escape. As Chief Wallace Bowden, Eamon Walker, called over the radio to evacuate immediately, Casey realized that the pressure was on and time was ticking. But if they let go of the valve, the roof, as well as anyone standing on it, would explode. "So what now?" Severide asked. "As soon as we leave, this thing's gonna blow." It didn't take long for Casey to realize that the firefighters had only one path to safety: a potentially perilous jump into the neighboring Chicago River. Out of options, Casey asked his friend, "How many steps do you think it is to the edge of the building?" "To do what?" Severide exclaimed. "Jump." "Sure," Casey shrugged, conjuring up the courage himself. "We let go, make a break for it, jump into the water." The pitch rendered Severide downright speechless, but the seconds were ticking. "Come on, get ready," Casey encouraged. "Count of 3. "This is insane," Severide said, shaking his head. "Let's go," Casey cried out. 1, 2. "Damn it, Casey," Severide groaned as his commanding officer yelled. 3. Then, without a moment of hesitation, the two firefighters sprinted to leap from the rooftop into the river, narrowly escaping the massive explosion that erupted behind them. The fiery blast rocked the screen in true Chicago fire fashion, sending flames flying and throwing a plume of smoke high into the air as Casey and Severide successfully escaped. To say it was a close call is an understatement. Severide and Casey barely made it, but the moment lives rent-free in the minds of fire fans everywhere. Between the intense near-death moment to the humorous camaraderie between the firefighters, it's no wonder the jump is Kinney's all-time favorite scene he's filmed for the NBC mainstay. Despite the blood-pumping nature of the action sequence, Kinney has nothing but fuzzy memories from the iconic fire episode, which delivered both heat and heart. They both jump off, a big fireball explodes, Kinney recalled in a 2022 promo for Chicago Fire. "It's one of the best memories I've had." And then there are Chicago fire moments. The kind that leave you breathless, heart-pounding, and screaming at the screen like your own best friend is trapped in a 4-alarm blaze. And few scenes have branded themselves into the collective memory of chiehards, quite like the time Kelly Severide and Matt Casey leaped off a roof to escape a fiery explosion that could have easily been the end of Squad 3 and Truck 81's finest. This wasn't just stunt work or Hollywood dramatics. This was peak Chicago fire. Raw, thrilling, and emotionally loaded. It was the very embodiment of what makes the show sizzle, not just with flames, but with the unshakable bond of brotherhood, gut-wrenching suspense, and the indomitable grit of Firehouse 51. It started, like many great Chicago fire arcs, with a call that seemed standard but quickly escalated into chaos. A warehouse fire on the south side, routine enough, until intel came in that the building was housing illegal propane tanks. Casey, ever the leader, didn't hesitate. Severide, never one to let a brother walk into danger alone, was right beside him. And just like that, they were inside, navigating smoke-choked hallways, searching for survivors, and trusting their instincts more than their radios. Flames danced along the walls like angry spirits. The air was thick with soot, and the heat pulsed like a living thing. They found a trapped maintenance worker, barely conscious, his leg pinned under steel shelving. With a Herculean effort, they freed him, radioed for backup, and then came that eerie moment of silence. The kind that never bodes well. A low rumble, a flicker of unnatural light. Casey looked up. Severide froze. Boom. The first explosion rocked the building, sending debris raining down. The maintenance worker was quickly hauled over Casey's shoulder, and the two firefighters took off up the stairs, the only clear exit cut off by falling beams. They emerged onto the roof, lungs burning, hearts racing. Below them, chaos. To their left, fire. Behind them, a building about to become a crater. The rooftop exit, gone. There was no time for deliberation. Another explosion was imminent, this one bigger, hungrier, and more final. Jump? Severide asked, the flicker of a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth, even in the face of death. Casey nodded, eyes narrowed in fierce focus. We don't jump, we fly. And then, with the roar of flames behind them and a final look that said brother till the end, they ran. And jumped. The camera work captured every second like a war painting in motion. Slow-mo bodies suspended in midair, silhouetted against a blooming ball of orange fire. You could hear the wind rush in your ears, feel the heat licking at their boots as the building blew behind them, framing their descent like an action movie climax. They hit the ground hard. Casey rolled, cradling the rescued civilian. Severide landed rough, pain shooting through his side, but he was up in an instant, pulling his brother to cover as fireballs rained down. When the dust settled, Firehouse 51 came running, all screams and sirens. Bowden's voice barked orders with the urgency of a father whose sons had just come back from the brink. Brett and Violet checked them over, eyes wide, breaths shallow, as if they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Casey bruised but steady. Severide bleeding from a gash on his temple, but grinning. I told you we'd make it, Casey rasped. You also told me last week skydiving was off the table, Severide coughed, and they both laughed, as if they hadn't just cheated death. But it wasn't just the spectacle that made this moment legendary, it was everything it symbolized. The absolute trust between these two men, forged over years of shared loss, shared victory, and quiet moments between fires. The instinct to protect not just civilians, but each other. The willingness to leap, literally, into the unknown if it meant keeping their promise. Everyone goes home. That leap wasn't just an escape. It was a statement. It said, we don't back down. It said, you can't kill the heart of 51. It said, no one gets left behind, not while we're still breathing. For fans who'd followed Severide and Casey through heartbreak, promotions, rescues gone wrong, and brotherly banter over bad coffee, this scene wasn't just thrilling, it was cathartic. It reminded viewers why they tuned in week after week. Because Chicago Fire isn't just a procedural drama about emergencies. It's a love letter to heroism, loyalty, and family.